Hey everybody, Bryn here, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be playing the Semi-Slav. It's been hard to find games where people are playing d4. It's the luck of the draw, I guess, but at least we are finally getting a game in. So that's exciting. Alright, so we're playing a natural, like a classical Slav. They're playing an early bishop g5. So I don't know if they're going to go into any knight, like they should play knight f3 next. I'm not sure why they wouldn't. There we go. So now we have the Slav. Actually, you know what? I just realized that the way they played this, they were trying to avoid the Botvinnik, but they don't avoid the Cambridge Springs. That's actually very interesting that they avoided the Botvinnik by doing this. But either way, we're just going to transpose into our normal openings by playing Queen A5. We could also try the Botvinnik, and I would like to try that in the future, but here we don't get that opportunity. So Queen B3, I think just Knight E4 should do the trick. And again, the problem is most moves aren't really so great when you have to deal with this Knight E4. This is our consistent threat. So Queen B3 isn't really one of those tries. Yeah, so I think what we can now do is actually just take on G5, take on C4, and they run into some troubles here. Yeah. And now we won a piece. So this is actually kind of happening quite a bit in this opening, which is nice that we're just winning pieces right away. I'm not really going to complain about that, but it's also nice to try to get something more going on here. I thought I'd try something a little different, pushing the pawn. We're up a piece, so I'm a little bit less worried of, you know, going crazy and the consequences of it. But we still want to be a little careful. Because the queen is in the way, there's two ways I can play this. I can move the queen and then move the bishop, or I can just focus on development in a different way, like g6 and bishop g7, which I also like. I would really like to take that bishop. Of course, exchanges help us when we're up material like this. Yeah, so I'm quite a fan of that exchange. And now I'm just going to get this guy on the long diagonal here. So I think we're doing good. We're castled and we're officially safe. There we go. That's the one thing in the Cambridge Springs you sometimes have to worry about, is your king can sometimes be just a little weak. But now it's not. We're fully castled. I'm going to play e5, break open the position. And yeah, I think we're doing good. And we're winning another piece. I think they're just like maybe tilted. This can happen quite a bit when you are when you lose a piece or anything. It's very common to start blundering more as a result. So I'm just going to play Queen D5. My opponent would like to chat. Draw, please. I can't accept a draw. We are winning. I mean like that. But my opponent will get all of their rating refunded. That's important to mention. All of our opponents will have their rating refunded at the end. So that's important to mention. Of course, you know, when you're playing much stronger, like when your playing strength is much stronger and you're doing these types of runs, it's important to mention that, because like it's just nice to know that they're not like losing their rating, because that would really be unfortunate. I like bishop h3 here. Bishop h3 kind of provokes more weaknesses. We're threatening checkmate. So maybe they play f3, but if they play f3, bishop takes d4. So this is what I was intending. Are they going to do that? Yeah, so bishop takes d4 now. We'll end up winning the queen. And there we go. Yeah, let's just retreat. I was thinking of queen f2 check, letting them take, but I don't really see a purpose behind it. This check I quite like, because now we can play this with a bit more strength behind it. Queen g2 is a threat. Rook g1. Yeah, so here we just take on f3, I believe. Actually, no, we'll just take on e2. It's a bit easier. No reason to rush it. And queen g2 checkmate. There we go. So let's talk a little bit more about what's going on here. So I quite like what our opponent did in the opening here to avoid the Botvinnik. So what do I mean by this? So normally what you'll see here is bishop g5 here. But the problem is you need to know this position. And I believe it goes like b5, etc. It goes on and on. It's one of the most theoretical positions in chess. And it's extremely crazy. So what my opponent did, I think, was really interesting. Because when you think about it, they kind of avoided it. Bishop g5 here instead, provoking e6, but then going e3 before knight f3. So if you're a Botvinnik player, you probably should learn the Cambridge Springs alongside it no matter what, because they could try this move order to play against this. I don't know if this was intentional or not, but that was a very, very clever thing to do. So if you are a d4 player and wanting to avoid the Botvinnik, that might be a way to do it. Start with bishop g5 and then go e3 first. So I'm not sure if there's any way to punish this. I have a feeling that there isn't, though. So I'm just going to give it to them. So again, knight to e4 is the big threat in these types of positions. Better options. I've seen people take. I've seen c takes d5 and knight to d2. I think knight to d2 is kind of one of the most challenging ones. Where after takes on c4, you take on f6 because this guy's hanging. Then you take on c4. You can play these types of positions. Black will normally play moves like c5. And then there's also this idea of c takes d5, and then something like queen to d2, or like rook c1. They kind of end up in the same direction here, where you take, and you don't really want to take this guy because you are losing a lot of time and you're not fully developed. But one of the better ways to play is this move bishop a3. And there's actually a very important idea here. This is a very theoretical position. You play this move b6, and you take advantage of the fact that there's no pin going on here. You want to trade off these two as fast as possible, because if you look at this position, this piece is absolutely atrocious. So seeing this b6 move followed by bishop to a6 is so important. And after they develop, if you wait for one move, you could find yourself really, really just much worse here after c4, because this guy is just out of the game. Whereas if you play bishop a6 first, or the castle, and you have to take, of course, and then castles, this is a much different position because those two were traded off, and this is significantly more beneficial for black than it is for white. So it's very important to make that trade in these Cambridge Springs positions, at least when it comes to the c takes d5 lines. But I think that's going to mainly be it. Just, again, keep in mind that any move other than really like taking on f6 is fine. It's not really the best idea, but any move except for taking and something like knight to d2 really is just not going to work here, because this move knight e4 just causes a lot of tactical problems for white, so they have to be quite accurate here. That's going to cover it for this game. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.